Well, today is August 13th. Well, we got some exciting reviews we're going to do for all of you. As you know, we're now in day 16 of the New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax 32. We're now getting almost closer and closer to the end. As you know, we are going to see who will win the respective blocks soon enough. But however, we will discover who is still alive and who is out. That is one of the key things that goes on in the tournament. Of course, we got NWA USA, we cannot forget, and JCW, as you know, has some interesting matchups. I am so excited to see what's going to take place. But if I do have time, I may do one more review. But if I don't, I apologize. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. But also, we got some interesting news updates coming for all you Tokyo Issue Pro Wrestling fans. If you recall, back in March, the UpUpGirls, not the idol group, but the idol group within Tokyo Issue Pro, has announced they're going to be auditioning new members, and has been announced they have found a new one. And also, I will be doing a small discussion from one of my favorite wrestlers from Pro Wrestling Noah, Yohei. What makes Yohei very interesting for me to become a fan? Well, he has a bit of a good story. Not only he's a talented wrestler, but the storylines he's always played out mostly comes out of betrayals of different factions that he's ever been in. So we'll see and talk about that a lot. So let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Gerard here. So, let's begin with day 16 of the G1 Climax by New Japan Pro Wrestling. As you know, we're getting closer and closer to the end, and now we're starting to see many wrestlers are officially out of the tournament due to the fact of low points. So let's discuss who's going to be out. Let's begin with the C block. We have Kenta and versus Aaron Henare, according to the officials of Kevin Kelly and of course Chris Sampson. They're saying both of these men are out, so basically they'll have this match. Now keep in mind this was a very interesting matchup between these two. Now we know Kenta and Henare have a bit of the submission techniques, but the only difference is Henare uses power while Kenta uses speed. But which one walks out? Well, you probably guessed it right away. It was in fact the Kenta with the crossfade type, the label lock that finished off Henare. However, you know, Henare did have an Achilles heel that Kenta exploited. It also may have worked in his favor. Now, however, Kenta may have won this match, but he was officially out of the tournament. So, but I believe right now Kenta ended with the score of 4 points with 3 wins and 2 losses, while Henare, boy, he only has 2 points with 1 win and 5 losses. So that's kind of suck. But we know he did pretty good in the beginning, but it wasn't enough. Now our next match is A block action. We got Jeff Cobb versus Yano. Now before the bell rung, Cobb tries to bring out Funny Cobb. Now keep in mind, he's trying to be impersonating Yano. We all seen Yano how he is when he comes out. So he thinks he can play his game. But Yano, he actually had a plan. We all thought that he wasn't going to show up to take on Jeff Cobb, but he tried to use certain things like cold spray in the eyes. But however, he ended up on the wrong side of the Tour of the Islands by Cobb. But I believe he ended up with Cobb. I believe he is currently 4 points with 2 wins and 2 losses. As for Yano, I believe he is only had 1 win with 1 win and 5 losses. So I think he's officially out, in my opinion, or from what I can understand. Now we got our B block action. This is two B block matches. No, D block. My bad. We have our first one, Yujiro Takahashi and versus Shingo Tagagi. Now, this is a very interesting matchup because as you know, Yoshihashi, Yujiro has been stepping up to the plate. But however, once again, when it comes to Yujiro, wherever he goes, someone from the House of Torture will follow, and that had to be that little weasel Sho. Did it work? Hell no, because apparently Shingo put him at the end of the last dragon, giving him 2 more points. So what does Shingo get in this? He gets 4 points with 2 wins and 4 losses. Now, I don't know how he will do, but we'll see how that goes. As for Yujiro, well, I believe he ended up with 6 points. He's still very much alive, but yeah. So I am like completely shocked that he's still alive, but we'll see about that. Now our next B block is Yoshihashi versus Will Ospreay. I have to say this is a very interesting development. Now keep in mind Will Ospreay was a member of Chaos. I don't think Yoshihashi will ever forgive Will Ospreay for betraying Okada and all this, but I have to say he put up a good of a fight no matter what. However, and then he ended up on the wrong side of the hidden blade and lost the match. So Will Ospreay, I believe he has 6 points with 3 wins and 2 losses, while Yoshihashi only 2 wins and 3 losses. However, as you know, by the moment this match was over, Ospreay looked right across, and that had to be David Finlay. As you know, David Finlay has asked for a match against him for the IWGP World title, and keep in mind he felt that his moment was stolen thanks to David Finlay, but David Finlay doesn't care. Now, our main event, we have B block action. We got Jay White versus Taichi. This match was pretty good, I have to say. It showed out. But the one thing that really, really pisses me off, freaking Geto had to get involved and use Miho Abe, Taichi's lucky charm, to play a little mind game with him. But thank God for Kanemaru, who was right there doing commentary, saved the day. But he got his ass whooped by Taichi. But unfortunately, Taichi ended up in the wrong side of the running blade by Jay White, giving him the win. And I believe Jay White is currently still undefeated with 10 points. So he is very much alive. Most likely he could win the G1, but depending who will win the respective blocks at the moment. So whoever wins the A block, that will be his opponent. So that's how it plays out. As for Taichi, I think he is only with 2 wins and 3 losses. So that's how it sums it up. So we'll see how far we go. So I will still stay on top of the G1. Now keep in mind there's other tournaments I will be following right now. As you know, we got the 5-star Grand Prix by Stardom, and we just recently started the first 2 days of the N1 Victory by Pro Wrestling Noah, but I only reviewed the day 1. I haven't seen day 2 yet, but I will catch up to that as soon as possible. So I think that's pretty much it right now with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I believe it's time for NWA USA. Okay, NWA USA open up with tag team action. We have the Country Gentlemen, Adorable Anthony Andrew, and AJ Kazana, aka the future legend, or whatever he called himself, versus the Now, which is Hale Collins and Vic Dasicious. Now, this was a pretty good team. Much of the heavy hitter type or powerhouse type wrestlers that you probably are used to in the old days, and I thought it was more of an old school traditional team. Now, I'm not much familiarized with these two teams, but I'm just going to skip this one. So I saw that it was AJ who picked up the win. I don't know which one of the Now got the pin. So it was pretty interesting to see how this one is. So pretty much a little bit of the old school, but it was effective. Now our next 2 interviews are one coming from Kyle Davis. The first one is Wrecking Ball Legursky. Now, Jay Bradley is out of action for quite some time. He got injured, so basically Wrecking Ball is now setting himself up as a mercenary for hire. Now, keep in mind, he had done this before with various people, including Kobe Carino. So we will see what happens then. But he said that if you pay him with the right price, He'll do you a favor. Now, our next interview coming from May Valentine. Now, as you know, she is interviewing with Kerry Morton, third generation wrestler, the son of Ricky Morton of the Rock and Roll Express. Now, Kerry Morton is, as you know, in a bit of a rivalry with Kobe Carino. Now, Carino has always declared himself that he is the true generational wrestler out of everyone. He thinks that Kerry Morton and PJ Hawks, they're irrelevant. Basically, he is the true generational wrestler, but Kerry Morton is basically, how do I say, on a different level. As you know, he is set to fulfill a dream that he wants to do and also become the second wrestler in the family to become the NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship, which is a title that his dad has held before. So he is on a mission for that. So we don't know when will that take place, but I'm looking forward to it. Now our next match, we do have this little segment by Stanley Drills. He interviews Aaron Stevens and May Valentine, but Aaron Stevens made him look like a fool. So basically, every time you try to interview him, he still looks like a fool. Now, our next match, we have our main event, Ricky Morton taking on VSK. Now, keep in mind that VSK, part of the Cardona family, has been nothing but problems since arriving. But VSK has been trying to prove for a long time why he is the true standard of what the junior heavyweight division is all about. As you know, he lost to Homicide a while back, but this time he faces a legend who has been there before. However, it was Ricky Morton with the pinfall to win the match. But however, VSK decided to take matters in own. They give him a beatdown. Once again, that piece of garbage, Mike Knox, show up with the table to put him through. Luckily, Kerry Morton, Ricky's son, show up with the chair to send a direct message. So I wouldn't be surprised that if during the NWA 74 they attack Mike Knox and put him through a table just to teach him a lesson. So I wouldn't be surprised on that. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's just end it right here and move on with Jersey Championship Wrestling for After Hours 2. Okay, here's the latest Jersey Championship Wrestling event. This takes place every single time when JCW either has a show in Jersey back again, as we always do. Seen our opening match is Axton Ray versus Dylan McKay. Now, originally Axton was supposed to face against Joe Lando, but apparently he sprained an ankle. But he was replaced by Dylan McKay. Now, I thought this match was pretty good because I've seen a lot of things with Dylan McKay. I've seen him too many times. He's very athletic. But however, it was the strength and powerness of Axton Ray that made the huge difference and allow him to win the match. So I think I was impressed by that. Next match, we have the cutest in the world, Maki Ito, making her JCW debut to take on Billy Starks. I thought this match was really fun because, we've seen Maki Ito, what she's capable of in the ring. Not to mention she has a big head, which is a lethal weapon in some ways. But one thing is certain is I thought in this weight match it was going to be Maki Ito to walk out as the victor, but no, it was Billy Starks that pulled off a huge win and upset, pinning Maki Ito. And I did not expect that one way or the other. So she did like Maki Ito was in her shoulders and boom, dragged her down and pinned her right from there. Next up, we got the Kirks, Brandon and Casey, taking on Big Vin and Sawyer Rag. Now, this was a very strange match because, we all know nobody likes Brandon Kirk. They like Casey Kirk, his wife. I don't know what it is, but the boys caused a bit of a fuss. So Sawyer and Casey decided, they're like, F this, we're going to go to the bar and drink. I don't blame them for that, but it was Brandon Kirk who walked out as the victor while the ladies were having drinks. So it would be fun. That was a good one. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting team up. We got Charlie Tiger, Alex Taylor, Azrael, and Steve Hott taking on Marcus Mathers, Yoya Janaikai, who originally was supposed to be Dylan McKay, but she was a suitable replacement, and team captain Grim Reaper. Now, I thought this match was pretty good because it showed a lot of character. Not to mention, we have members of Young, Dumb, and Broke being in it, and not to mention Yoya and Jedi Kai are known as Yokai. I thought it was a pretty fun. But the one thing that was really amazing is Yoya, who is the smallest person in the group, was able to roll up Charlie Tiger and win the match. Of course, Charlie Tiger was in disbelief that he couldn't believe that he lost in that fashion. But it happened just like that. Don't underestimate the little guy. Now, our next match, we have Everett Connors taking on Cesar Bononi. Now, Cesar de Bononi was revealed to be a hired hitman by that piece of garbage, the root of all evil, Charles Mason. Now, Charles Mason has some history with Everett Connors. For a long time, he's been trying to torture him, beat him down, put a bag over his head to show him his superior, that money is the real root of all evil. However, the last confrontation they had was a steel cage match, but his girlfriend, Charlie Evans, was able to save the day. But this time, Cesar Bononi was the one who was set out to take out the job. However, Cesar Bononi's biggest mistake was bringing a chair and allowing for Connor Everett to put him down. But however, Cesar Bononi took a retaliation and beat him down in a post-match to send a direct message. He may not have won the match, but he may have beat him down. But the obvious question is of course that piece of garbage Charles Mason happy with it? We don't know. Because following up, Charles Mason decides to get his revenge on Charlie Evans. Now keep in mind, Charlie Evans was the one who saved her boyfriend Everett Connors from him, but this time this is months in the making. We haven't seen Everett Connors or Charlie Evans in the States. As you know, Charlie is not originally from the US. She's from Australia or New Zealand, one of the two countries. But now that they're back, this is a perfect opportunity for Charles Mason to get his revenge. But however, he did that many times, choking her out maybe a bunch of times. And when he finally did, he laid her down on the ground and tasted her own blood. However, is this war between Charles Mason against Charlie and Everett over? We don't know, because the last thing he wants is to see them come back. He feels that they wasted their time, but someone's going to take out Charles Mason. But if I were him, you better have a good amount of money, because it may not stop them. Now, our main event, we have Slade versus Matthew Justice. This was one of those matches you know is going to be hardcore deathmatch type of scenario. Slade, who has no conscience, tried to take out Matthew Justice, but however, he handcuffed him in hopes that he could win the match. But unfortunately, it did not. He ended up on the wrong side of a frog splash by Matthew Justice to win. But later, Slade wanted retaliation against Matthews, but luckily Matthews' friend and teammate of Second Gear Crew, Mance Warner, issued a challenge against him to see if he has any balls. So we don't know for sure if he will accept it, but we'll see what happens then. So I think that's pretty much it with JCW. I believe is now our final review. New Japan Strong, High Alert. Okay, New Japan Strong, High Alert. This is the first day of their tour. It opened up with Jarrell Nelson versus Shane Hayes of TMDK. Now, keep in mind, this is a bit of a revenge match for Jarrell Nelson. He and Royce Isaacs were eliminated out of the Strong Openweight Tag Team Tournament, thanks to Shane Hayes and I think it was Bad Dude Tito or Mickey Knowles. I don't know which one. However, this match was proven to be showing how much Jarrell Nelson wants to get his revenge on TMDK for costing them an opportunity to get to the finals. Luckily, it did not happen for them, but Jarrell Nelson was the one who picked up the schoolboy, but he used the tights in order to ensure he picked up a huge win against Shane Hayes, and I wouldn't be surprised if Shane Hayes will get his payback against him for pulling up this ridiculous maneuver. Now, we do get a video package from none other than the king of sneaky style, Rocky Romero. As you know, back in Forbidden Door, he and his Roppongi 3 tag team partner failed to capture the Ring of Honor and the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. But this time, Rocky Romero is calling out Dax Hardwood for a match against them in High Alert. This is going to be a very interesting singles competition. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, as you know, because recently we did know that Aussie Open wants to have a shot of the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. That is something we're definitely expecting. Now, our next match, we have the Battle of the Bohemians. We have Hikuleo, the young gun of the Bullet Club, versus Big Damo. Now, this was one of those matches you know we have to talk because it's huge. These are two big individuals you definitely don't want to miss. But luckily, it was Hikuleo, the young gun, who's making the statement how he is now the rising star in the Bullet Club. However, we do know that there's no love lost between him and his brothers after they were excommunicated. But it shows Hikuleo is really making progress on himself to show he can do things on his own without he can get his on his own, but with the guidance of Jay White. Now, our main event, we have the Strong Openweight Tag Team titles, the first ever crowned. Who is it going to be? Is it the much experienced wrestlers, the number one of the fan favorites, Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher, Mark Davis, versus the Cinderella duo of Yuya Uemura and Christopher Daniels? I have to say, this was a pretty good match. I love what they've done in this one because it showed tag team division is really kicking ass. As you know, recently we have talked about it many times, but I was a bit of surprised that it was Aussie Open that walked out as the victors, because I would have loved to see Yuya Uemura finally win the title, but no, it was Aussie Open that walked out as the victors. And however, in post-match, Gerald Nelson, who tried to lay down the rules saying that Team Filthy are the real reason tag team division existed, but Aussie Open's like, we're not buying this crap. We run this world. We're the United Empire. But I wouldn't be surprised that if we see a war between both the United Empire and Team Filthy to prove who really runs New Japan Strong. Because as you know, Will Ospreay made his landmark saying that the Young Lions, they're going to screw it up. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a faction war within New Japan Strong. That is something we definitely could see in the future. So I think that's pretty much it. We'll find out when. The tag team match between Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs will happen with Aussie Open in Fighting Spirit Unleashed. So we will see what happens then. But right now, let's move on to our next thing we're going to do actually is DWZ discussions, and this one's about my favorite wrestler down in Pro Wrestling Noah, Yohei.
Get the guns, the drugs from my generation. I'll take the fall, the shades, and across the nation. And it's a sin, the guns, the fake, the fraud, the messing with me. Come on, come on, come on, let's get it on. Move to the music, play like fucking music. Move it to the music, yeah. Move to my music, play like fucking music. Live through my music, yeah. Now get the guns, the drums from my generation. I'll take the fall, the saints, and across the nation. And it's a sex, the gods, the freaks, the fraud, they're messing with me. Come on, come on, come on, let's get it on. Move to the music, play that fucking music. Move it to the music, yeah. Move to my music, play that fucking music. Live through my music.
Right. Welcome to DWZ discussions. This is a very short one for everyone. So you asking me, why am I a fan of this wrestler named Yohei? Some of you may not know who he is, others may do. Now, why am I a fan about Yohei? Well, I'll explain that in just a minute. So here's a little bit of the lowdown about Yohei. He's 34 years old. He's currently signed with Pro Wrestling Noah. He's from Yabu, Hyogo, Japan. I don't know where that is. He's 5'7", but he does have a background in judo, shorinji kempo, football, and baseball. His debut was back in December 22nd of 2008. He has 13 years of experience. He was with Dragon Gate from 2008 to 2009, And then from 2011 to 2019, he was a freelancer. But in 2020, he was signed with Pro Wrestling Noah, and since then he's been there. However, the one thing that really people ask me, why am I a fan? Now, Yohei's a very talented wrestler. I love what he can do. I think he is will be one day the next or future GHC GHC Junior Heavyweight Heavyweight Champion. This is a title that has eluded him for quite some time, and I know he's been GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion on various occasions. But what is it about Yohei that got me to become a fan? Now, normally, as I mentioned before, the Cosmic Angels, I love a good storyline when it comes to them. Yohei's storyline is quite unique in a way. The one thing that makes Yohei a wrestler that really got me into it is the number of betrayals he had in the past. Now, some of you are saying, how can that be a storyline? Let me explain. I'd never witnessed this before, but I was aware that Yohei was once a member of the junior heavyweight unit known as Stinger. Now, Stinger has proven time and time again they have been one of the dominating junior heavyweight competitors in Pro Wrestling Noah on various occasions. As you know, they are currently have all the titles in their possession. Hayata is the current GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion. Rossi Yoshinori Ogawa and Chris Ridgway are the current GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. However, Yohei used to be a member of that group until he was betrayed, all thanks to Kotaro Suzuki. So he was the real reason he was betrayed by Stinger. Now, since then, Yohei was a member of an amazing trio team of junior heavyweight competitors known as Full Throttle, consistent with him, Seiki Yoshioka, and leader Hajime Ohara. Now, these guys were amazing competitors. I've seen Yoshioka and Ohara become GHC heavyweight, junior heavyweight tag team champions. But however, I think the one thing that was really bothered me is that Yohei never preceded that. I would have loved to see him become a champion, but it never did. But unfortunately, because there's been a battle of wars. I mentioned this before. There has been on my podcast that I've been fascinated by the rivalry with all the units involved in the junior heavyweight division in Noah. But one thing that was so intense was the way Yohei was betrayed by Seiki Yoshioka during the match between Full Throttle and Stinger. What happened is Yoshioka kicked him in the head. But the reason he did this was to save his friends, which is Hayata and Yuya Suzumu. So it put him in a... So he tells Ohara that he is sick and tired of his ways, that he wants to aim higher and bounce with Stinger. But Yohei was pretty much upset. Ohara tried to comfort him of what just transpired, but Yohei, I believe he looked at Ohara as like saying, how can you let this happen? Basically, he feels like Ohara failed as a leader, that he should have seen this coming. Now, leaders, sometimes they should have known this, but however, Yohei was picked up by none other than Stinger's rivals, led by Nosawa Rangai, who we haven't since was forming a group at the time. As you know, he recruited this guy, Iduku Idaka, I think that's his name, and of course Kotaro Suzuki. Now they haven't decided the name yet until later on Eita showed up, and later they dubbed themselves Los Perros del Mar de Japón. But Yohei was very much thriving on Los Perros del Mar on great terms. However, things changed later on for Yohei when he accidentally misfired and kicked Rangai in the head during a match with Stinger, costing Los Perros del Mar the match. But however, Rangai decided to give him a beatdown, beating him up completely and whacking the back of his head with the chair. But out of twist of fate, Sushi Kotoge comes out, laid himself on top of Yohei, taking the beating that Los Perros applying. But the real question is, why did Kotoge make this choice? The reason he did it is because he believes in Yohei. But of course, Yohei, who has constantly been betrayed many times over, he asked for help, and of course Kotoge could not say no to him. So he became now part of the Noah Junior regular army, and basically everybody except Ohara, who was the leader of Full Throttle, was not happy with the idea. The reason is Ohara felt that he could not trust Yohei because of what happened the last time they bumped into each other. If you remember, Yohei just abandoned him, knowing that abandoned him out of nowhere. But Yohei had his reasons because he felt that Ohara should have seen what Yoshioka did. Now, how did Yohei did since joining the main unit? Well, that is a very interesting development. He changed his colors to white, and he has thrived even better. But he's been constantly smiled on the way to the ring. He looked more like he was free from everything. I felt like he was looking for peace in his own mind and soul, knowing that all the turmoils, the betrayals that he has suffered, it went away. And I think he owed it all to Kotoge and, of course, Irada, the leaders of the main unit. But however, Ohara made the choice to leave the main unit due to the fact that he doesn't trust Yohei. And he joined the Congo the juniors, to prove a point and all that. But however, recently, Yohei has accomplished two things. He became the GHC Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions with Kotoge, but he lost those titles to Stinger, consistent with Ogawa and Chris Ridgway from Rev Pro. But later he and Sushi and Hirada became the Open Twin Triangle Gate champions. So Yohei was doing pretty well for himself, despite the fact of all the things he's done. But I did mention before, the one title that has eluded him throughout this time is the GHC Junior Heavyweight title that currently is in the possession of Hayata. But recently, something development happened to him. Now, Yohei, I always pictured him as a follower. I always have, no matter who he sides with. Recently, in Stinger World, Seki Yoshioka decided to step away from Stinger and go on a warpath against him because he felt that he was being held back on every front. Though he always talked about going higher and higher and higher. And I think that was his weakness that brought him to his knees. But out of nowhere, when things were getting bad for Yoshioka, Harada shows up and gives him a helping hand, saying that he's better off with them. Now, Yohei will never forget what he did, for what Yoshioka did to him. If you remember, he kicked him in the head in order to betray Full Throttle to side. But Yohei did say something on Twitter that fascinated me. Yohei knows what he hasn't forgotten with Yoshioka, what he did to him. However, he does not want to disappoint the leaders, Harada and Kotoge. He owed it to them for helping them find peace after what he's been through. And I think it shows a lot of character with Yohei. It's like Yohei's felt like, I'm sick and tired of all this betrayal. I'm done. And I think he's happy where he is. But right now it appears that he and Yoshioka at this point had finally made peace with each other, knowing, let's leave things in the past and just move forward no matter what it goes. Because Yohei is not rushing to have an opportunity of the GHC Junior Heavyweight title. He knows he'll become that champion, but he wants to take his time until he feels the time is ready for him, because he's been picking up some great matches that he's been doing since then, and that's what makes him unique, and that's what makes me be a fan. That Yohei, he's talented, he's good enough to make a good impression, but the storyline about him, how he suffered the betrayal throughout his time, has went away, and now he's ready to move on to the future. But the real question does remain, when will he have the opportunity to obtain that title? Well, we don't know, but hopefully either before the end of the year or the start of the year. It all depends. So I think that's pretty much it, what we got with DWZ discussions with, of course, Yohei. So let's move on to our final. It's going to be the news updates. news updates. Now, this is coming from the Tokyo Pro Wrestling, mostly from the idol wrestling group known as UpUpGirls. Well, keep in mind there's two divisions of UpUpGirls: the actual idol group and the pro wrestling idol group themselves. They're consistent with Miyu Watanabe, Hikari Noa, and Raku. Now, back in March during the Grand Princess, when we normally see the UpUpGirls open the show, they announced the greatest news ever, where of course they're going to find a new member to join their group. Now, keep in mind, if you understand the history of UpUpGirls, UpUpGirls started out as a four group. Now, in the past, DDT founder Sanjiro Takagi has always been a fan of the idols, and he wanted to pursue the endeavor to have their own set of idols because they have an affiliation with the UpUpGirls. So basically, these girls were brought up to scratch. So there were four of them: Miyu Watanabe, Hikari Noa, Raku, and of course Pinano. Now Pinano retired later on during their time, and she had a unique style of wrestling where she acted like a drunken martial artist. You may have seen those type of movies. But since then, they only remain as a three-member unit. And I will do a discussion video of them when the time is right. But I have to say, this is a very good, interesting development, because now they announced the newest member of UpUpGirls, and her name is Shino. Born on July 15, 1998. She's Zuoka Prefecture. I don't know where that is, but I'll look it up. Her hobbies is collecting stamps, specialties trumpet, tourist information, eating ice cream quickly. So basically, she will be now the newest member of UpUpGirls. This is very exciting news. Hopefully, we can see what she can do, not only as an idol, but also as a wrestler. We know that these girls, we've seen Miyu, Hikari, and Raku. They're amazing wrestlers in their own way, but I like to know what personality Shino can put into the table. So I think that's it for that. So let's move on with the most interesting news I did not expect. It was announced that Anthony Henry is officially All Elite Wrestling. Yes, guys, if you guys who know Anthony Henry, he is an amazing wrestler. We knew him as in WWE as Asher Hale, but now and he's also a member of the Workhorsemen with JD Drake. Now, it's still unclear when was this deal happen. When did the contract was signed? But it's still also unclear if he's a full-timer or a part-timer. That is something we don't know, but hopefully more information about this from Anthony Henry will come into light. Next up, if you guys remember recently, Unagi Sayaka paid a visit to Gambari Pro to challenge her mentor Yuna Manaze, and she won that match. Well, apparently another Yoshi wrestler made her debut recently, and that is Yoshiki Osagawa, who was originally from At-Risk Girls, just made her debut, re-debut to the promotion in a match with Yuna Madane, and of course she introduced herself back in July. However, Unagi Sayaka has her sight on her, but she said that it may not be in Gambari Pro, somewhere in some place. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Unagi invites her or begs the Stardom officials to have her come to the next New Blood event, which is, let's see, we're in August. It could take place between, let's see, September, October, possibly November. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But it would be interesting to see, and I wouldn't be surprised if Yuna Manaze will be in her corner, because I know Yuna Manaze has been training Hosogawa back to reintroduce herself. Now, our final news update, if you guys been watching the latest Stardom event, I think we're in day 6 of the 5-star Grand Prix. We had a surprise visitor because they were in, I forgot where they're at. Their surprise visitor is Konami. So she was there. She took videos over there. I saw it on her Twitter page. And she took a video of Julia, who we know Julia is still insistent in having her join DDM, but she was there to support her friends. We're talking about God's Eye. You know, she was a member for a week. It's great to see that she's still in touch with those people, and it's great. I'm a fan of Konami because she's a unique character, you know. So that's one of the things that got me into Konami, to enjoy that she is an amazing technician. And one thing I did not know, she's a disciple of Kana, also better known as Asuka. So, so I think that's pretty much it right now. So I think it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we got more on Choco Pro, and I believe we still got more on the G1 Climax. If there's anything else that I missed out, oh yes, then GCW. I think this weekend, the next episode is going to be crazy. I'm pretty much excited for it because, you know, there's a lot of wrestling I've been following up. There's still no indication of if I will see the Stardom 5-Star Grand Prix Day 5 and 6, or the latest Tokyo Pro Wrestling events that took place recently. As you know, we're getting closer and closer to the winner of the Tokyo Princess Cup, and there's many other things I've been following up. And of course, we cannot forget, we just started with Pro Wrestling Noah, the N1 victory, which I'm excited for. So right now my brain is like, ah! But yeah, somebody's got to do it, and it's gonna be me, and I don't care. You know why? Because it keeps me sane. I love pro wrestling, and I'm sure you guys do too. I think that's pretty much it. But for now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.